I'll go ahead, once your project is open in Photopea and you see it like there, it might be a little gray because of your photograph. You can go up to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. Once you go over there, you want to look at the top set of boxes over here, the white box on top, not the one down here or here. You want to slide that towards the center just to brighten up your picture. Now, I wouldn't move it too far out. You don't want to bleach out your picture, but you do want to get rid of some of the gray that's in and around it. To make the outline a little bit darker, we'll go grab the black box and we'll slide that towards the center. And that should kind of make that stand out a little bit more. You can play with the gray in the adjustments, but it probably is not going to do much for you, so I would just kind of just leave it as is. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and say, well, you know what? Looks like pretty clear outlines to me. I think I'm happy with that. I'll hit OK. Now that I have it set up over there, you might have some extra space on your picture that you just don't really want or need. From the other project, we do know how to use the crop tool. It should be the fourth one down. It looks like two right angles sort of crisscrossing to make a square. I'm going to grab that tool, the crop tool, and I'm going to click and drag and create a box, and you're going to see this box with all these little adjustment squares around it. You can use those to resize it or move it around. You don't have to have no space around this thing, but you can kind of trim it down a little bit. Actually makes the file size a little smaller, so it takes up a little less memory. Once again, to work Photopea, there's a few shortcuts I try to teach you. One of them is to hold down the Control key and then tap the plus or the minus to zoom in and zoom out. You can also hold down Control and press 0, and it'll make it full screen. I'll zoom in a little bit. Now on our layer window's down in this corner, you're going to see the background, and the background's going to have a little thumbnail of our picture. If I click the eyeball, it disappears. That checkerboard means nothing is there. Click it back on, it's right there. I don't want to mess with the background. I don't want to paint on the background. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and click the padlock, which is all. When I click that, it locks the layer. So you don't have to do this step. It's not important. I like to do it because I don't want you to paint on the background. I like to keep the background sort of untouched. Down below that layer, background layer, you're going to see some icons. The one all the way at the end is a delete a layer. The one next to it is new layer, and I want to click new layer. When I click that right there, you get something called layer 1. You can see the eyeball, you see the checkerboard. That means it's clear, nothing is on it. What I want to do is I'm going to rename that one, and I'm going to start painting. I can paint wherever I want. I can do the shirt, the bag, whatever. I think I'm going to start with the bag. I'm going to rename that layer just to keep things organized. And to rename the layer, you double click on the actual word, and it'll let you type on it. If you double click on the empty space near the word, you're going to get the layer style option. We don't want that. We're going to hit close that out. So double click on the actual word, not on the actual space. Two different things happen. There's a lot of functions in Photopea that's the same as Photoshop, so you want to kind of avoid those. Now, to make this layer work, what I want to do is I need to change it from normal to multiply. You do not need to do this with the background layer, but any of the color layers you do, you need to make a layer and switch it to multiply. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my color picker. My color picker is going to be near the bottom of my toolbar on the left hand side, and I'll find a color. I know that one of the trends was the yellow bag, and I'm going to find the color yellow that I like. I'm going to hit OK. That color in that top box is the color that I've selected. I want to go find my brush tool. That's what it looks like. If you can't find it, you can always use the letter B on the toolbar to get it. For example, I'll just click on the text tool and I'll just press B on my keyboard and it automatically goes to my brush tool. All right. When I click on a different tool, it gives me a tool adjustment layer up top. And you'll see the little brush icon. So it's selected. Next to it, there's going to be a circle, a triangle, and a number. That number might not be this same number that I have, but if you click on the triangle, you'll get the drop down. That number is the size. Size is 7 pixels. Not important that you understand pixels right now. I think you might already know what that means because of pictures on the telephone. But by sliding it up this way, you can see you can make your brush larger or smaller. If you're working on a big area, I recommend a larger brush. All right. Now, the hardness for right now should always be at 100%, so don't mess around with that. Now I'm going to start painting. When I start painting, you're going to see that because I've switched that layer to multiply, whatever I'm painting will just be see-through, and I can see the bag underneath it. If you're painting and you can't see through it, for example, if your layer was still on normal, this is what it would look like. And, you know, it's not really what we want. By switching that layer from normal to multiply, that sets it up so you're able to go in there and color and still remain the integrity of your lines. Now, if you make a mistake, like I just did, you can hold down Control or press the letter Z, like 0. All right, and when you do that, you can see what it does. I can step backwards. Now, you don't have an unlimited of spaces to step back. So don't think that you can make like 50 mistakes and then just go all the way back. Your computer will run out of memory. It will stop saving your history. So another way to clean up errant lines is to go to find your eraser tool. E is the shortcut for eraser, but it also might be hiding underneath your brush tool. If your setup on your device is a little bit different than mine, you actually might see more tools on your toolbar. Doesn't mean that you don't have them if you don't see them. Sometimes they're hiding underneath another one. So this also will pop up top. It works the same way as the paintbrush. I can adjust the size, and I can use that to erase. All right. Now, if you were to be on the background layer and it says it's locked, well, that's not going to let you do anything. If it was unlocked and you tried to erase, well, you'd be erasing the background and there would be nothing behind it. So that's one of the reasons why we lock the background. Make sure you're on the correct layer. What I like to do is I like to leave every single color that I use, I like to have it on its own layer. By having it on its own layer, it creates a situation for me, it's a lot easier to manage, because if I decided, and this is something important for designers, if I decided tomorrow, after I'm done painting everything, that I wanted to change the color of the bag, I could very quickly change and sub this out, whereas if I did it on one layer, well, then I have to go back and repaint it. And the way I could do that would be going to Bag, Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and you can see when I adjust the hue, it will change the color of the bag magically. So, and you can change not just the color, but how intense that color is in it, how light or how dark it'll be. And that is one of the reasons why we'll create new layers. So for example, if I was about to do, let's say, the shirt, I would click here and create a new layer. There's my layer, and I would rename it shirt. And then I would go out, I would pick whatever color I wanted to use for the shirt, however I wanted to use it. And then I would grab my paintbrush, size slightly larger. I would start painting, and again, one of the steps that I forgot to do over here was to change my layer's style from normal to multiply. And again, you're going to have to do that for every layer. Okay? So that's going to be the coloring again. Remember, whatever you get done with in a day, we want to make sure we save. It doesn't save to the program because the program is just on a web page. We go File, Save as PSD. It will automatically download a copy of that to your downloads folder. And then from there, you'd have to come back tomorrow, or File, Open from the web page, and then go ahead and find the PSD of your project. So open. All right. So you see I've got 2 copies of that going. I've been working on from yesterday the one that I made earlier that I outlined in pen, so it's a little cleaner and clearer. I'm going to go ahead and continue to work on that. You can already see that my coat is on its own layer, my bag is on its own layer. As I go ahead and do some of the other things, like for example, like let's say the boots, I'll create a new layer, get my new color. And then I would go ahead and change that layer from normal to multiply, and I would grab my brush and just adjust it down, and I'd start working on this. Alright, so I'm going to continue working on my design. You guys should be working on yours. When you get your drawings done, we should be bringing it into Photopea, and we're going to go ahead and add some color and add some value to it. Hope that was helpful.